If you discontinue to watch this video at one point, then please tell me what the reason was so that I can improve. Otherwise, hi and welcome. I'm trying to learn Biographyology. Today, Elizabeth of Hungary, Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. And after we've done that, we're gonna do leg injury prevention training. And if you participate in the leg injury prevention training, it is at your own risk. And we're going to talk a bit about unjust, I just took a glance at it, I haven't read it, but I took a little glance at it, a bit about unjust treatment with probably physical punishment. Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, in the 30th century. Did she live? Feast day, November the 17th. Symbols in art are bread, roses, pitcher and double crown. I don't know what pitcher are. But bread and roses and also a double crown and pitcher. Patronage of baking, lace making and beggars. I don't know what lace making is. But of baking and of beggars and of lace making. Paintings by James Collison, The Renunciation of Queen Elizabeth of Hungary. And by Simon Martini, St. Clair and St. Elizabeth of Hungary. Profile, daughter of King Andrew II of Hungary, a nun who cared for the sick. Okay, let's see it. Born into the comfort of medieval Hungarian royalty, Elizabeth had a fortunate start to life. Okay, she was born as the daughter of the Hungarian King Andrew II. An arranged marriage for political reasons at the age of 14 to Louis of Thuringia in Germany was a success. The couple bore 3 children and lived in contentment for 6 years until Louis died of the plague while joining crusaders assembled in Italy. Okay. Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, she was the daughter of Andrew II of the Hungarian king, and she lived in the 13th century, and she was married to, when she was 14, to the regent of Thuringia, which is in Germany, and they lived in content together and had 3 children, but then after 6 years, he died catching the plague when he was on a crusade in Italy, when we were on the crusade to the Middle East, when we were in Italy. Elizabeth is said to have run through Wartburg Castle shrieking with grief. I'm looking for words how they're pronounced in English, not the word for context, not one bit. So Thuringia, it is either the name of it in the 13th century or it is Thüringen. And Wartburg is pronounced Wartburg. Okay, now she was running for Wartburg in Thuringia, which is in Germany, and she was shrieking with grief when she heard that her husband died of a plague when he was waiting in Italy to sail then from Italy out to the Middle East for crusade purpose. What happened thereafter is uncertain, but her husband's death proved to be a turning point. Okay, now her life changed. It is thought that for some reason she was expelled from her own home by her brother-in-law, whereupon she decided to renounce the world to join the Order of Saint Francis. Okay, it is said that her brother-in-law expelled her, and she then joined the Order of Saint Francis. So a religious group of Saint Francis, a Christian religious group. She made provisions for her children, then devoted the rest of her short life to the care of the needy. I don't know what it means to make provisions for her children. Whatever, she made sure that they had enough food or whatever. But when she turned her life to caring for the needed, but she was expelled, maybe without her children. Or she was expelled with her children, but So we're not really able to understand that part, what happens here, but it makes a big difference if whether she was expelled with or without her children. We can't really talk about the other things if we don't know if her children were with her or not. But she once devoted her life to care for the people in need. As a married woman, she had cared for poor families, taking food and garments to them at the foot of the cliff on which her castle home was built. So while she was married, when her husband was still living and she was not expelled, before she was expelled, there she had already taken food and garments and brought them to the people at the foot of the cliff on which her castle home was built. It's true. Wartburg is built as a cliff, I think. Continuing in the same spirit, she built and worked in a hospital, providing for the elderly and sick. Okay, she had already, when she was living at Wartburg, where she was bringing down from the, it's a castle, not a what's the name? And she brought then the food down to it's a little mountain, a rocky mountain. And then she brought to the poor people garments and food. And now after she was expelled, I think without her children, she take provisions for her children and continued then also to help the poor people, the elderly and the sick. She built and worked in a hospital. So she built a hospital. I don't think that is from the name hospital. It is from the name of hosting someone, of giving someone good hospitality, from that name. When not actively tending to their needs, she occupied herself with domestic tasks such as baking, spinning yarn, and carding wool. Okay, she was doing when she had time, was she doing other work? She was baking. She's the patronage of bakers, and she was spinning yarn and also carding wool. She would clean the homes of the poor and fish in the river to feed them. Okay, she dedicated and devoted her whole life basically in working, and everything which she could accomplish or everything which she could gather together at useful things through her work was she giving to other people who were in need of it. So she was trying to give them, when she had food and garments, she was doing spinning yarn, and she was baking and carding wool, and she was cleaning the homes of people, maybe when they were too old or too sick to work, and she was also fishing and then giving her fish to the people. So much energy did she pour into the selfless service of others, as well as practicing extreme exercises of self-mortification, that her superior felt obliged for her own sake to curb her enthusiasm. He prevented her from giving away her possessions and limited her almsgiving. However, malicious reports of ill behavior from her companions invoked harsh discipline from the superior, a former inquisitor. She suffered sometimes brutal treatment and confessed to living in great fear of him. Nevertheless, the punishments yielded no return. As she said of herself, she was like sedge in a stream during flood time. The water floods it, but when the rains have gone, it springs up again, straight, strong, and unhurt. Despite the attempt of a Hungarian noble to persuade her to return to her homeland, she refused, saying that all her life and death was nowhere in Germany. She died soon after, aged 24. Germany's first Gothic cathedral, Elizabeth Kirk, was built at Marburg to house her relics. Okay, I don't really understand the middle part. It wasn't seen by other people so nicely that someone else was doing so much for other people, and they wanted to stop her being such a good person. They didn't like to see that person, and so he also punished her for it. But she continued, and she said, I don't know what sedge is. Let's say it's some grass. She said it's like something growing in the bed of a river. If a stream runs over it, then the sedge is not there, but after the rain is gone, then she springs up. Basically, that means that if there might be a shower of hardship or whatever, but she will nevertheless return, maybe even stronger and unhurt. Now, and someone who, or someone of the country of Hungary nobles where she was expelled from her brother-in-law tried to bring her back to Hungary, but she said that she had decided to stay in Germany, and when she died already at the age of 24, and her relics are in Germany's first Gothic cathedral with the name Elizabeth Kirk or Elisabethkirche. That is at Marburg. Okay, we have it together. Here's something else. Above a 15th century, so 300 years after she had lived, a 15th century painting by the master of St. O'Toole shows St. Elizabeth of Hungary flanked by St. Catherine of Alexandria from the 4th century and St. Rosalie of the 13th century. Emperor Maximus, who put Catherine to death in the 4th century, sits downcast at the feet of a compassionate Elizabeth. Okay, now we have let it all. In the next part, we're going to read it again. No, first, what was it? I think it's good to say it. I should say it. So, Saint Elizabeth of Hungary, she was the daughter of a Hungarian king when she married someone else, and she went, I think that made her went to Germany, but then after 6 years of having marriage, her husband died, and she was then expelled. She cared for it, made sure that the children had enough, but when she used every moment of life basically to work and help the people who needed it, who need. Sometimes that was seen not so likely. Sometimes people didn't like to see that. And she was also punished for it, but she said she will nevertheless continue, and she will continue and just stand up again. And she died early already at the age of 24. And her relics are in Germany's first Gothic cathedrals. So Gothic cathedrals were a little bit different. I want to do with soon architecture what exactly Gothic cathedrals are. But they're having, I don't know what really to say. It's so hard to describe. I struggled with it since years, so I really want to do with part in architecture. It's Gothic cathedrals. They are quite common. Probably you know how Gothic cathedrals look like. So a type of church. And we're in that church in Elizabeth Kirk in Germany, the first Gothic church of Germany. Her relics are. That was a biographyology part. If you were here for biographyology, you can go directly to the next part of biographyology. What we're going to do when this, gather this information together and memorize them and make on a presentation then about Saint Elizabeth of Hungary. If you stay here and participate in the leg injury prevention training, and it's at down risk. Have a good standing leg and swing your leg in front to the side. It is the goalkeeper's warm-up or something. Exercise. And the other leg, swing it to the side and in front. The goalkeeper preparing for the goal kick. One foot in front and back. And the other leg, bring the foot in front and back. And now, one leg up, hands out, and we're doing the distracted boy. One hand to the side, other hand to the other side. And change. Middle and down. Other leg up and hands out, and cross. Cross. Middle and down. And now, one leg up and press with the knee up and to the side. Other leg. To the side. Now stand good on one leg, the wild catter. This can go on to the knee. Turn over to the leg. Go down. Turn over to the other side. And come up. Other leg. Stand good. Turn over to the leg. Down. Over to the other side. And up. Next exercise, the clock. It can go again onto the knee and go to the 90-minute intervals on an imaginary dial. Or just down with it. Other leg. 12 o'clock and 1:30 and 3 o'clock, 10:30 and 9 o'clock and 7:30 and 6, 4:30 and 3. Now the next exercise, don't do it if you're pregnant. Have the heel on the ground and lift the heel off the ground and place it again onto the ground. Other leg. a whole movement comes out of the hips. And now, one leg up and down the stem, don't understand it. Other leg, up and down. And the arms to the side, breathe in, go down. Close again. Wait for the leg injury prevention thing, beschauen. I thank you very much, and until next time.